Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I'm back from Leipzig, a fantastic European away trip. Not so much a fantastic result on the European away trip. We'll talk all about it. You know, it's a weird one because in terms of overall trips, I think I'd rank that one the highest so far that I've been on. I've been on a few now. Valencia, Rome, Poland. What was the other one? Leverkusen. I'll have Madrid coming up as well. But I think just in terms of take away the result, because nothing will top Rome, Lazio away, and that I've been to so far, and foreseeable, I really don't know if that can be topped, just for the absolute scenes in the game itself. But in terms of overall trips and place and location and just how it all went, I think it might be. I feel like that might be the best one. Don't know. But I'm glad to be back. It's good to get content regular again. I hope you understand the difficulties when it comes to these sort of games and trips and such. It's not as easy to get content out there when you're on such a tight schedule. I got my match preview recorded the day of the game, the time you get home from the game, the next day you're flying home early in the morning, etc, etc. It's really, really difficult to get all these deadlines met. So I was waiting till today, when I was back home tonight, to get a bit of a recap out and talk about everything. That's why we're calling it the big Celtic chat, because there is so much to talk about. And someone like yourself, Gabriel, pleasure, mate, absolute pleasure. And everybody that I met while I was over there, all pleasant, all lovely. And it was really fun meeting a lot of you guys. So we're going to get into this stream. We're going to talk about Celtic. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. There's a lot to talk about in relation to the game on Wednesday, in relation to the game tomorrow, some big injury news that we all know, the elephant in the room, and we'll have a general Q&A as well, because, you know, I like to get your views and I like to talk to you guys at the end of these streams and get a bit of a question and answer session. So we'll get through it all. We'll get to talk to you guys. We're going live tonight, and the normal videos should be back starting again tomorrow with our post-match reaction to St Johnstone. Anyway, let's start with the big story, the biggest one, and the most annoying one, and perhaps the saddest one of the season thus far, and that is the injury of Callum McGregor, which the extent of is not known yet. Don't get sucked in. We don't really know. This was the last sort of thing that we've seen of Callum McGregor. He was walking through whatever airport that may be, with his knee brace on after being sent to what I'd imagine as a specialist to be checked up on, blah, blah, blah. I think Ange Postecoglou actually confirmed this morning that he was going to see a specialist. I don't know if it was in London or something, or somewhere else. But anyway, he was spotted going back on the flight with the knee brace sadly on his leg. I mean, I guess the main thing is he's up and walking, so that's good. But not a big fan of seeing that. It was a nasty one. If you watch back on the injury from the other night, the way that he kind of lands on his leg, it isn't the most pleasant. And we have got somewhat of an update from Ange Postecoglou. We're going to run through that in a second, and then we're going to talk about the ramifications of such an injury. You know, Callum McGregor being injured, how massive is that to Celtic? How detrimental is it to our chances in our next few games? And, you know, you're missing your captain, ultimately. You're not just missing the player Callum McGregor, you're missing the heartbeat of the team, you're missing the leader of the team, you're missing Celtic's most consistent and arguably most important player. You know, it's not just Callum McGregor, he's much bigger than that, a much bigger presence than that in this team. But we have got a bit of an update from Ange Postecoglou this morning. This was a selection of his quotes from the press conference. I managed to actually shout out to, I think it was Hamish, who was present today at the press conference. So your quote you're seeing here is in fact from 67 Hail Hail. So shout out to those guys who were a welcomed presence, I'd imagine, at the press conference. And Hamish, I met on holidays, well, there in Leipzig again, so nice to see him. For him to come off, it's fairly significant. It's obviously not short term, but we're hoping it's not too long term. The one thing you know about Callum is whatever timeline they give him, he'll try and come back earlier. That's what happened last year with the cheek fracture. He got the mask on and played. He's been around long enough to know that this has been part of a professional footballer. You're not always going to play the 70 games a year. Sometimes injuries will happen, and he was just a bit unlucky the other night. So the main thing that I want to point out from this quotation, and it's the one that I don't want folk to get sucked in with, but a lot of people already are because they don't do a lot of reading, is the top quote. It's fairly significant that he's come off the park. The injury isn't significant. We don't know the extent of it yet. Ange Postecoglou doesn't know the extent of it yet. It's not short term. that means it's not 1 or 2 games. It's going to be longer than that. But there is nothing yet to indicate that this is going to be an injury that keeps him out for months, and an injury that keeps him out for a long time this season. I see a lot of Rangers fans who are jumping the barrel, thinking it could be a potential season ender. I'm hoping it's not that, of course, touch wood. But it's significant that he came off early, because that's not Callum McGregor. Callum McGregor never comes early. The injury is not significant. We don't know that yet. It could turn out to be significant. There's no denying that. So don't get too ahead of yourself on either side of it. We need to wait and see. There will be further assessment. We'll have further news, and I imagine he'll constantly be asked about it, the manager. Ange Postecoglou will be asked about it before the game against St Johnstone. He'll be asked about it after the game against St Johnstone, heading into that Champions League game. And I guess this is where the effects now start to take place. We have got a busy schedule this month. And if Callum McGregor even was to be out till the end of this month, that is a kick in the stones. Here is the October schedule, in case you need reminded. We are 2 games down already. Of course, the game against Motherwell at the weekend and Leipzig on Wednesday night. Beyond that, we still have quite a number of games to play. And if Callum McGregor was to miss even all of those games, that would be a kick in the stones. Leipzig and Shakhtar especially are 2 massive games at Celtic Park where we now need to win to keep our chances alive of getting European football after Christmas. We need to win both those games, ideally. And if you're missing your captain for the 2 of them, that becomes a really difficult task. And then you look like, it's a tough month altogether, but you've got Hibs, you've got Hearts back to back. You've got a cup game, which could see your team getting through to Hampden. There's so many important games in here. Livy away will struggle with the past. To miss McGregor for any of them is a kick in the stones. It is annoying. It's got to be a challenge that this team needs to come together and overcome. Can we do that? Absolutely. I know we haven't looked sharp. We'll come on to that. But, now is a chance for players to step up. Now is a chance for other guys in the team who've probably been waiting for chances to show their worth here. The biggest one, of course, is now Abildgaard, who will now, you'd imagine, get the shot and get the call to the first team in a role which he is a natural at, a role that he's took up wherever he's went, both as a club player and an international player, and one that a lot of people have got very excited for. Abildgaard has got big boots to fill, and to fill Callum McGregor's boots is nigh impossible. That's fact, to be as good as McGregor game after game and do what he does, it is really tough. But you've got to look at this as a massive opportunity for someone like Abildgaard. If he can go in there and cover however many games it is he needs to cover, and if he can play that role, and if he can do that, you're talking about the opportunity for him to make that spot his own. And that's not me saying McGregor doesn't get back into the team, before you misunderstand me. But what I'm saying is, we've always spoke about the fact that Callum McGregor can, and maybe should at times, play higher up the park. If Abildgaard impresses in that holding role, McGregor, there's every opportunity he can move back up a little bit further towards the attack, which could be a blessing in disguise for Celtic. But it is absolutely gutting that we are going to be missing McGregor. You can't even underestimate. You can't. You've got to be honest about it. There's no point in trying to dress it up and disguise it with these slight positives. It is a massive negative. It's one of the worst things that could have happened to any of your team at the weekend. Midweek. But there is the kind of smaller things that you need to just try and be a bit positive about. We know how much we missed him last year when he was out for a couple of games as well, when he first got that injury with the cheekbone. He is such an important player. But it is a big chance now. And I don't know what's going to happen with Hidiguchi, if he'll maybe come up and see anything. But yeah, just looking at some of the comments in the chat just now, that's an ACL brace, I've ever seen one. Let's leave those 3 letters to the side. We're not talking about ACLs. We're not doing it. It's not happening. Not to our Callum. No ACLs, please. ACL's fine. It's just the only knee brace they had. That's all. I think that, there is probably some form of the ligament damage done there, if I'm being quite honest. Just the fact that he is in a knee brace and he went off, blah, blah, blah. But this is the thing I was going to say. Peter's just commented. The fact he played a little longer, the fact he walked off the park, and the fact that he's walking through the airport, on his own, whatever, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. I don't even want to get my own hopes up. But I am willing to guess it's not going to be the worst of the worst type of injury. The absolute worst ACL breaks or tears you see. None of that. Hopefully not. The fact, because if it was that bad, he would not have been able to even walk off that park. You know, he'd have been stretchered. So hopefully he's not aggravated or done anything by staying on that little bit longer. But you know what McGregor's like, he wouldn't want to go out. I'm hoping it's no longer the World Cup. I think that would be a massive win for Celtic. Not a massive win for Celtic. It's not a win at all, losing McGregor. It's a fucking L&a-half. It's one of the biggest L's of the week. But if he's in a knee brace, and yet we get to have him back after the World Cup, that would be great news for Celtic, because I really do fear that it could be longer. So I'm hoping that we see that. We've got to be honest with ourselves. We've got to set a level of ambition and for him being back at a reasonable kind of level. But it's not great. It's not a horrible situation. Not a nice situation at all. It's kind of horrible. Ian Fleming, £5 donation. Thank you very much, Ian. A legend as always in these streams. Hi, Ryan. Disappointed but not surprised about the result on Wednesday. If you miss chances and let in bad goals, you won't win games. So let's move on to talking a little bit about the game on Wednesday. Since I didn't really get to do a match reaction, I've not had the chance to talk about it or anything. How's the fame after being in Harry Heske's video? Right, I am honestly swarmed with messages. You know, I'm a famous face now. Harry wants to collab and all the rest of it. No, I wish. I'm joking. I really do wish. But what a lovely guy, by the way. What a legend. He was so nice to everybody that was going up to him, because he was standing like right beside us the whole fucking day in that square, basically. And he was brilliant. What a laugh. And it was nice to have a cameo in his stream. I want to talk about the game on Wednesday. I want to talk about it a little bit. Because it was really disappointing, wasn't it? Let's not hide away from that. It was disappointing in the terms that just once again Celtic shooting themselves in the foot and making life as difficult as possible. However, you know, we were kind of lucky in a way as well, weren't we? It was a weird game, because I looked back at the highlights last night when I got home, and Kunku's first goal, offsides are becoming ridiculous, aren't they? Like, I would be fuming if that was a Celtic goal that got chopped off. Is it what, his finger offside or something? Unbelievable stuff. But look, we shot ourselves in the foot again. And the big talking point coming out of the game from Leipzig is around Joe Hart. A lot of people wanting to see Joe Hart dropped, and they don't want to see him in the team for the next couple of games. Give Siegrist a chance. Hart has been off the boil recently. There is absolutely no denying that Hart has been off the boil recently. And passing the ball away like that to Leipzig is horrendous. Absolutely, there's no fucking going other way about it. It's horrendous. It's the kind of thing that we slaughtered Craig Gordon for when he was a Celtic goalkeeper in European games. Remember, against Salzburg, throws it right to him. You know, Craig Gordon done that, got slaughtered. Hart is, you know, I think he's getting a fair amount of abuse, and trust me, the amount of folk I spoke to after the game in Germany who were very much on the side of dropping Hart, unbelievable. I don't subscribe to the notion of dropping Joe Hart yet. Absolutely not, for me personally. And a lot of people won't agree with that, and that's fine. I don't blame anybody if they want to see him dropped. He has been off form. He's not been playing his best. But he made a few cracking saves as well. That's the thing. He does so much good things, and then it's just moments where you're like, you can do better than that, Joe. He gives away that ball. It's careless, and especially right after we get away with the goal that was chopped off for line of keeper's sight, whatever. We should be using that as a moment to give us a kick up the arse, try and take ourselves up the park and do something. But no, Joe Hart straight away gives the ball away to Leipzig. It's done. But with Joe, I don't think that there's... I don't know how to word it without sounding naive or too much of a Joe Hart fanboy. I think that these negatives have not shone a great light on him. But do I think there's enough evidence to subscribe to the notion that he should be dropped and for Siegrist to start? No, I don't. Personally. And once again, if you think he should be dropped, fair play. You're entitled to your opinion, and I don't even think it's that bad an opinion. Just for me personally, I feel like with the way that this season has gone, with the chopping and changing of the defence, and with getting back into this top flight of European football, I don't know, maybe it's just taking a toll on some more than we thought it would initially. And that's no excuse. That is absolutely not an excuse for Joe Hart to be passing the ball straight away to a Leipzig player. But I don't know. I feel like it's in times like this we need to stand by him, keep the confidence going. These are the same problems that, you know, really people were moaning about back in the Lennon season when we weren't giving a keeper a run of games. Keepers were passing the ball away to the opposition. They weren't making saves. They weren't doing this and that next thing. But there was some amount of people who were saying, well, no wonder none of these keepers can pick up form because they're not being trusted. So I think to bin Joe Hart after a couple of mistakes And after the season that he had last year and how good he was and how much we were, hyping him up to be this, that, next thing, to suddenly then drop him, I'm just not quite there yet. And not just because he's my favourite player and because I'm biased and nothing. I just think that there needs to be more there before I'm fully on the side of, drop Joe Hart. But there is no excuse for that the other night. There is absolutely no excuse passing the ball to the opposition. And it let us down in the game. It did. And it was the moment Joe Hart stood up. He took responsibility for that. He spoke about how, these things do happen when you play the football we play. And that's the case of it sometimes. But he did. He said it shouldn't have happened. It's his own fault. He'll probably feel that the responsibility lies on his head and shoulders, if you pardon the pun, that he's kind of threw the game away for Celtic in that moment, because he did. That changed the game. It killed us. And I thought there was a really good spells in the game for us that showed we could have won it as well. I was watching on with drunken glasses, don't get me wrong, but there was moments in the game where I really did think that we were showing enough promise if we could hold ourselves in it and we could avoid stupid mistakes that we could have got a win. But then you make a mistake like that, and it totally killed us. It murdered us. It took all the wind out of our sails. And it's the same sort of issues that has killed Celtic in Europe for years. We make life hard for ourselves. And it's no excuse. If we do it, we do it. But yeah, it was just so frustrating. But we're never going to get anywhere either without our best defenders being back. And I think that you see that in the game as well. I think that we need Carter Vickers and Starfelt back in that team a hell of a lot. And I don't think that would have necessarily stopped any of that happening on Wednesday night. But it certainly does help you gain more confidence in the game. And as a fan, especially watching on when chances are being made, I have more confidence in Starfelt and with Vickers dealing with it than Welsh and Jens dealing with it. So frustrating on that part, to say the least. But there was a lot of good things there for Celtic. There's no denying that. Jota's goal was taken really well. We did create chances. And we are showing significant improvement. That's the thing. And I'll go through the donations in a moment, by the way. Thank you very much. We are showing significant improvement. And a lot of people are far too quick to jump and ignore that when we do make a horrendous mistake, which I understand. But we have showed so much improvement under Ange Postecoglou in Europe. From his first game against Midtjylland to where we are now. These are the big boys. These are the best of the best, these teams. Leipzig haven't had a great season, but they've got players like Werner and Kunku who are just brilliant. They've got a fantastic side. And you're playing teams like Real Madrid. If we played Real Madrid at the same point we did this season as we played them last season, holy fuck. So there is things to be positive about. Absolutely. And I feel like a lot of people are quick to forget that and jump to panic stations when results don't quite sway our way. We have made life difficult for ourselves. There's no denying it, because you look at the missed chances against Madrid, Shakhtar, and the mistakes against Leipzig now. 3 massive games, 3 massive moments, and each game you could say that could have changed the course of these games. Because we haven't took them or because we made mistakes, we've now gave ourselves a mountain to climb in these last 3 games. Is it a mountain I'm confident we can climb? Well, if Callum McGregor's not there, it brings my confidence down a little bit. But there is enough evidence from these first 3 games for me to suggest that Celtic can get results, and especially the 2 home games. But we need to iron out these horrible mistakes, and we need to iron out these missed opportunities, because they are coming back to haunt us. But we'll see what happens. And I think that there's big chances now for players in these games. I feel like we're going to see a couple of... I think someone like Giacomakis, I think, is due a chance in Europe. A big chance. I know he came on in the first minute, or he played against Real Madrid or whatever. And I know he's had a couple of chances off the bench and such, and he missed that big one against Shakhtar too. But maybe he's your start. Maybe the opportunity's there for him. I'm not saying that should happen, but I'm saying maybe it'll come. The likes of Haksabanovic maybe gets a chance in the next couple of games. Abada missed out the other night. We've got good players who are due some starts, I'd say. After the last game against Leipzig. So it could be really interesting to see how these last sort of 3 games go in the Champions League. So I'm excited to see how they go, but it is frustrating. There's absolutely no denying it. It is. And I want McGregor there for him so badly, to tell you the truth. But it was a brilliant atmosphere. Fans were brilliant. I'm proud of the development we're seeing in this team. It's just about all coming together in that final sort of moment. So a lot of comments coming through, by the way. We'll get to them as we try and get on with the stream. First donation to talk about here, by the way, Jordan Eason, 449. Hart made up for it with 3 or 4 big saves. Siegrist is a good shot stopper, but is he better with the ball at his feet? Still to see. That's what I'm saying. You know, Joe Hart, some massive saves in that game. And it's annoying because it's just the one thing that he does like that leads to the goal. It is, you know, you need to talk about it. You have to be critical of it. How critical should we be of it? Does he deserve to be dropped? Once again, don't quite subscribe to that notion yet, but we need to get rid of these errors. And Ian again with another donation. What a legend, Ian, by the way. £5 donation. Do you think we need to change the way we play in Europe compared to the Premiership? The question always gets posed to Ange, will I change it? And he comes out with the same answer time after time, and it's why would I? And I am still on Ange Postecoglou's side with that. Why would I change my mind on it? Because we're more exciting now. We're making chances now. And we might be losing these games. But and this is the one thing that will stick with me in my head till the day he leaves this club. And I hope that every manager thinks like it. What is the point in losing games in Europe? 5-6, 7-0, 7-1. You know, all these ridiculous scorelines I've seen over the past. When we play football that isn't attractive, when we aren't making chances, and we're not learning as a team. When he could play his own football. Create chances. Keep it consistent with the players who are learning it. And then, you know, we might lose, but we're not even losing as heavy. We need to put fear into these teams. There's no point in sitting back. I know that there's so many examples. You look at Omonia Nicosia yesterday against Manchester United. They touched the ball about 5 times in the first half and they were leading 1-0. Great. Good for them. Fantastic. But they ended up losing. And you know, sometimes you're getting beat about 9-0 if you do that anyway. So it is a fine line and difference, I think, when you know, because these things can change so easily depending on how the other team turn up. So there's a very fine line there. But I'd rather be on the side of the line with Ange Postecoglou that we are right now than the other side. That's where I'd be, and that's my opinion. But thank you for the donation, Ian. I really appreciate that. Yeah, right. Let's talk about tomorrow because we've got 22 minutes so far. That's my kind of take on the Leipzig game thus far. It'll probably come back up again in the podcast when we film that, whenever that happens. Thank you so far for the support. Let's talk about tomorrow. Bring a calendar back up again. 8th of October, we head to McDermott Park to take on St Johnstone. And a game that will be testing once again for Celtic. We know that we haven't played great as of recent. We also know we're missing Callum McGregor, but it's a game that Celtic must win. We really do need to win the game. And I, for the love of God, I hope we win it convincingly. I don't even think we need to win it convincingly, but I want to win it convincingly because so many people are starting to think this is it, we're finished. Like, my God, man, calm down. Just calm. So I'm hoping that we do manage to go out there and win the game convincingly tomorrow. St Johnstone, a couple of wins here and there in their past few games. I think 2 of their last 5 they have managed to win, and they've only lost 2 as well. So they haven't been too bad for a team who, you know, of course, last season were hopeless. This season haven't even been fantastic, but you know they're doing a bit better, you could say. I'll be watching from home. I won't be up in Perth, sadly. I didn't manage to find myself a ticket. So, you know, big chances for some players because I feel like there will be changes. One of the biggest updates we should talk about, actually, and people will be dying to know, is the availability of Cameron Carter-Vickers, for example. Cameron Carter-Vickers, they spoke about him today at the press conference. Ange said that he would join back training at Lennoxtown, but whether or not he'll be available for the game against St Johnstone tomorrow is down to a post-training assessment. We'll find out at the same time tomorrow, boys. If Vickers goes up with the team, might mean he's involved in the squad. We'll find out at the same time together tomorrow whether or not he'll be playing or available. We also know that Aaron Moyer is back in training. Liel Abada is once again available after missing out due to Jan Kippur. Religious reasons, of course, why he wasn't available on Wednesday. But the big positive for me is Vickers is back in training at least. Even if he misses this game against St Johnstone, which I don't want him to, he's one step closer to be back for next week in the Champions League. So that's positive. As for my team selection tomorrow, I really do think Celtic, and I'm trying to get my graphic up here. I think I've lost my graphic at the starting 11. I really do think that Celtic could make a couple of changes to the team tomorrow. One of them not being a goalkeeper change. I still think that Joe Hart will play the game. I really want to see Giakoumakis get a start. Kyogo started the season so well. I'm not saying he's people are always quick to jump there. Like, he's saying he's done. I'm not saying that. But I want Giakoumakis to get a start. I just think he's due one, deserves a chance. Kyogo, fantastic player, as we all know. But I just kind of want to see him. Could he come in? Don't know. I also think we'll see a winger change. Who will it be? Will Moyer go off? Will Jota go off? Who will come on? Will it be Abada? Will it be Haksabanovic? I think we're going to see changes. I think we'll see a Haksabanovic or Abada start the game over Dyson Maeda. At least, who knows, he might even make 2 changes and take Jota off as well. We know there's obviously going to be a massive change with no McGregor, which I think we'll see Abildgaard come in. I think O'Reilly and Hatate will probably still start ahead of him, if that be the case. And I just don't think Vickers will be rushed into the game tomorrow. If he's available, I think he'll keep him on the bench, maybe try and get some minutes in his legs ahead of the Champions League game midweek. But I just don't see Carter Vickers starting the game tomorrow. So I think it will still be Welsh and Jens. Juranovic and Taylor, I think, will still stay at the fullback positions. Then I think Hart will be in goals. Score prediction for the game tomorrow. I'm going to go for 2-0 to Celtic. Hopefully we can keep a clean sheet. I want that. I just want all the things in the game to make for a really positive reaction afterwards. I can't be bothered with a win that has more negative replies than positive from the fans. I mean, I don't care if we're winning, we're winning. I'm happy with a win. But I mean, I just want us to be happy. I want us to feel like we're back. I've got a really, really tough run of games coming up after this. So, it'd be nice to kind of start off, a tough run with a big win. You look at it, we've got a run that sees Leipzig, Hearts, Hibs, Motherwell, Hearts, Shakhtar, Livy away. That is a big run of games, and I would really like us to get as positive a result as possible as we head into that. So I'm going to go 2-0, and that's my predictions for the team and such as well. St Johnstone, Stevie May, you fucking pull the griddy out, and I'll drive to Perth. That's a threat, a direct threat. I don't know why you'd be threatened by me. What a stupid idea. Right, let's end off this stream then with some of your guys' thoughts and questions, whether it be in relation to the game tomorrow, whether it be in relation to the game on Wednesday that we just played in, or whether it be just Celtic related in general. Let's get some of your thoughts. Let's talk about that before we end off the stream. It's been a big Celtic chat, as I've said. A lot of things to talk about. How long is McGregor out for? If you missed the opening part of the stream, feel free, you can go back and watch it when this is done and you can find out everything I've had to say on the McGregor stuff. But to just keep it short, keep it blunt, we don't know. It's not short term, and we're hoping it's not long term. That's literally all we know right about now. What do you think of the slagging Maeda is getting just now? Again, he's not been great lately, but for me, some of it's way over the top. I've always agreed. I think that some of it is over the top as well. I understand the criticisms, and I think he is warranted. He's warranting of some criticism. He hasn't been at his best. I feel like some people take it a bit far. I don't know. I do want to see a run of games where maybe it's Haksabanovic or maybe it's Abada at play. But some of it over the top, yeah, I suppose. Good move. Very good move, James. Abildgaard has not played properly since April. Would you give him the nod, even for the European game? We don't have a great amount of options, sadly. Ideguchi's not even eligible for European games. He's also not kicked a ball since God knows when either. So, he's not played since April, but we're going to probably have to install that trust in him. And to install that trust in him tomorrow is going to be huge because he'll probably get near enough 90 minutes. Probably. And he needs that. He needs to get match fit. So I'd imagine he'll get to see a lot of the game tomorrow. But listen, I'm giving him the nod personally. I just don't see what other option you've got. You can't play a midfield three that consists of Moy, Hatate, and O'Reilly. Or Turnbull, Hatate, and O'Reilly. You need somebody who's going to sit in front of that back four. You need somebody who's got a bit of a presence. And whether or not Abildgaard has got that quite as of yet, it remains to be seen. But we need to just put the trust in him. Quite bluntly, to be honest. First European away trip, and what a trip it was. Absolutely class. Love that, Gabriel. Once again, pleasure to bump into you as well. Who will play Abildgaard and Moy? I think it'll be Abildgaard. I do. Plus, Moy's just back in training today as well. So, if Joe Hart was dropped, who would be captain if McGregor is out? It'll be Joe Hart, won't it? I'm sure that's who McGregor gave the armband to last week when he went off. So, when he got sent off against... I keep forgetting that McGregor wasn't even going to be eligible for this game with suspension anyway. But, Joe Hart. Sorry, I'm an idiot, Aaron. Sorry, son. If Joe Hart was dropped, who would be captain if McGregor was out? I don't know. Who would it be? Try to think. Like, who? I think one of the fullbacks, personally. Greg Taylor's been here the longest. Juranovic is a Croatian internationalist. I think it'd be one of the two fullbacks. One of the two. I don't know. Sorry, Aaron. Aaron, please, come on now. Have mercy. Giakoumakis has to play in place of Kyogo in Europe. We can't give him 20 chances to score. A lot of people I've heard today, including my dad, actually, who really wants Giakoumakis to start the game midweek. Juranovic is. I think I'd go Juranovic, him or Taylor, one of the two. See, that three just doesn't work. Maybe you get away with that when it comes to the Premiership, but when it comes to Europe anyway, difficult. Tomorrow, you potentially could. You play St Johnstone, you've got Turnbull, Hatate and O'Reilly on, but that just worries me for being caught out when you don't have someone there sitting in front of the defence. You know what I mean? He did get back into playing okay. Whether he's okay now or not is a different story. The man sounds like he is struggling. But yeah, depends who you draw. It just depends who you draw. It's the same when it comes to every European prediction. Like, how far will Celtic get? Well, it generally just depends who you draw. But yeah. Right, I'm going to wrap it up there for this evening. It's been absolutely class. I've loved it once again. It's good to be back. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back Sunday. We'll be back Monday. Should be back now on a right good run up until Madrid. So, which I'll be obviously present for. So, yeah. Hope you've all enjoyed that this evening. Hope you all have a lovely Friday night with this horrendous weather. And hope you have a good weekend. Enjoy the game tomorrow. And we'll be back to talk about it then. So, yeah. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. What was that? That wasn't even a salute. That was like fucking tip of the hat. For fuck's sake. Right. See you later.